Good morning, everyone. Last week we wrapped up chapter 4, which was on quadratics. So this week, guys, we are going to have our test, okay? It's going to look a lot different than what it would typically look like, okay? Clearly, we're in a unique situation right now. So before I talk about what the test is going to look like, let's look at what chapter 4... Actually, no, let's start the other way. Let me tell you what the test is going to look like, and then that way that'll give you some context when I talk about the review. So, sorry, I had to pull up my notes here. So the test, guys, I want you to have, it's going to end up being 7 unique, so your own questions. All right, I'm going to want you guys to have a solution to each problem. Guys, that means all of the work for the problem written out. Okay, and your work needs to be shown neatly. Okay, guys, you are going to make your own test, and clearly you're providing your answers to that test. Okay, so that's the basics of what our test is going to be. Okay, 7 unique questions, solutions to each problem, and work needs to be shown. Okay, so that first page, you're going to create a test. It's going to have 7 unique questions. I showed you where the questions are coming from. I want you to have a solution to each problem, and work needs to be shown neatly. Okay, guys, you're going to have 2 days to work on this. The assignment today, you're not going to submit it on there. I made a note of that. You're going to submit it tomorrow. So working on this today and tomorrow. Guys, I'm going to have a discussion up tomorrow, I'm going to put one in today and tomorrow. So if you guys have questions, put them in there. Okay, I can answer them. So work on this, guys. This one is going to be, it's your test for the chapter. So it'll be worth a few more points than your typical 5-day daily or 5-point daily assignment. So make sure you guys are getting this done. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good afternoon. Where are your questions going to come from? They're going to obviously come from chapter 4. Okay, and I'm even going to specifically tell you what sections I want you guys to make questions from. So 4.1 was graphing quadratics. Okay, guys, quadratics are parabolas. That's the shape of a quadratic function. Okay, I want you guys to have so it's 7 total questions, your test. So 2 of the questions are going to come from 4.1, graphing quadratics. Okay, just a reminder, a quick review. The first step in doing that, guys, it's a 3-step process. The first step is finding the axis of symmetry, which you use that formula from. Step 2 is finding that vertex, which is, again, that ordered pair. You got to use the axis of symmetry to find it. And then your third step is a t-chart. Okay, so 2 of your questions are going to come from lesson 4.1, graphing quadratics. All right. Your next 2 questions are going to come from lesson 4.3. Which is solve by factoring. Okay, so you're going to have 2 questions where you solve the quadratic by factoring. Guys, I want one of the questions to be leading coefficient of 1, Okay, so what do I mean? I mean something that has like x squared. Let me think of one off my head here. So x squared plus 6x, let's go plus 9 equals 0. Okay, that has a leading coefficient of 1 and it can be factored. Guys, this would be x plus 3 times x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, so have one that has a leading coefficient of 1, and then have one that requires the box method, or there was a handful of students who I showed the grouping method. They're the same thing, guys, but this has a leading coefficient other than 1. Okay, guys, both of these lessons, the notes keys for these can be found in the Chapter 4 module. It's kind of down the list now because I'm keeping all those DLDs at the top. But the notes keys for these and 4.1 can be found on there. Okay, so 2 questions from 4.1, 2 questions from 4.3. And then the last 3 questions I want to come from 4.6, which is the quadratic formula. Okay, and there was quite a few different quadratic formula type problems, guys. I want you to have one of each of these. I want you to have one that has imaginary solutions. So you have to come up with a problem that's going to have imaginary solutions. You're going to have one with irrational solutions. And then the last type you can choose. Okay? And so the quadratic formula, guys, is negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? So 2 questions from 4.1, 2 questions from 4.3, and 2 questions from 4.6. Okay? So what about all the lessons we missed, guys? All right, so all of the lessons we missed, 4.2 was solving by graphing. Guys, this was a lesson so we could show you the need for other ways. So I don't want you to have any problems from solving by graphing, okay, on your test. 4.4, guys, it was just imaginary numbers. It was just an introduction so that you could apply it to the quadratic formula. So no questions from 4.4, the imaginary numbers lesson. Guys, what about 4.5? That was completing the square. Okay, well, why did we learn about completing the square? We learned about that so that we could learn, hey, that's where the quadratic formula comes from. So, guys, 4.2, 4.4, and 4.5, those were pretty much just precursor lessons that if you've got 4.1, you've got 4.3 and 4.6, you got all that material. This all can be found in there. So, again, let me just